Hi there, my name's Harry Ye, Managing Director at Binary FinTech Groups. I've been one of the fortunate few to travel around the world and have been involved in cryptocurrency since 2013. Specifically, I got into Bitcoin back in 2013. I think I got my first Bitcoin when it was around $60, and today it's trading at around $31,000 with the high of about $35,000. So I've been very, very fortunate to see the rise of this alternative asset class. We are at the beginning of the third big market bull cycle that I've been involved with. So definitely some interesting things going on here with all the different asset classes. You look at traditional assets such as gold, you look at stocks, the equity markets, and cryptocurrency now is really seen as an alternative asset in part of your portfolio. Before it was, hey, what do we need to do to get Bitcoin into your portfolio? Now the question isn't even about getting Bitcoin in your portfolio. It's cryptocurrency is part of your portfolio. Now it's how do we diversify what's in your cryptocurrency portfolio? There's really no right place or right time. Like in any successful business, you have to have a combination of factors. You have to have timing, you have to have a great team, and you have to have a great product. But I would say timing makes up 50% of what makes a company or a business successful. 25% is the team, 25% is the product itself. So for example, if you were in social media back in 2004, 2005, the timing was right. But if you're doing social media now, it's kind of the timing is off because it's already a much more matured industry. So the timing for a huge distrust for central banks and fiat currencies started emerging, and people were looking for an alternative for digital cash. So the product, when it came out, the timing wasn't like the best because there just hadn't been enough, I guess, of a network effect. So Bitcoin now is around 11 years old. So in terms of timing, you really couldn't have timed the market perfectly back in 2000. I think 2010 or 2011 is kind of around the early days of Bitcoin. But if you had just stayed consistent with Bitcoin, I tell people a perfect example. I had over 2,000 Bitcoin in 2013 when I invested in, and had I just did nothing, put myself in a hyperbaric chamber, today I'd wake up with close to about $100 million. So that's really the power of patience and timing. So the right place is, I was in Silicon Valley at the time. There's definitely a good appetite. This was after Uber and Airbnb had kind of taken off. So people were looking for the next big thing, and cryptocurrencies were really just that area. So I was fortunate enough to, start a hedge fund around that time. Got in. I'm considered a relatively early adopter in Bitcoin. I brought Bitcoin to the Middle East in Dubai back in 2016. So I think when I brought Bitcoin and I started talking about it here in Dubai in 2016, the price was around $600, and now the last post I did was around $34,000. So definitely it's a combination of timing, and I've got a great team, and the product. People need something alternative where they're not necessarily reliant on the banking system. So cryptocurrencies just really provide a way for you to transfer and store value outside of the traditional financial system. Fast forward to 2020, you have guys like Elon Musk tweeting about Dogecoin and Bitcoin. Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy that instead of having cash on their balance sheets, they're buying Bitcoin. So I think the EBITDA for MicroStrategy over a 5-year period was around $70 million, but just in the last 6 to 12 months, their balance sheet has increased by, I think, about $300 million because of their investment in Bitcoin. And just recently, Morgan Stanley disclosed that they own 10% of MicroStrategy. So they're owning MicroStrategy just so that they can have access to Bitcoin instead of buying Bitcoin itself. And of course, Elon Musk tweeting about Bitcoin and Dogecoin. It hasn't been officially announced, but people are speculating that Tesla probably and Elon Musk probably have a sizable position in some of the cryptocurrencies. So now people aren't buying it for any other reason except it's a hedge against inflation because the fiat printing system just continues to keep running. If I was to look at the current state of where we are in 2021, the bull market is just starting. So let's step back and take a look at the 3 bull runs that I've been involved with. I got into Bitcoin in 2013, and when I first got into Bitcoin, it was around $60. At $60, I was telling everybody I think it would be $500 by the end of the year. I was completely off. It went to $1,300. So a 20x return at the end of 2013 was what happened with Bitcoin. And end of 2016, when Trump got elected, Bitcoin was around $1,500. And we're saying, okay, it might do another 10x, so it might be $10,000. It outperformed, it did a 20x again, and ended up at around $19,500. So this year, if Bitcoin follows the same trajectory, since we're at the beginning of 2017, in 2021, I believe Bitcoin, originally I was going to say it's $100,000, but I think it could be between $400,000 to $600,000 if you're just doing simple math. And I know that sounds crazy. People still think we're crazy, and I'm crazy for talking about this, but people just underestimate the power of the network effect and the power of exponential, because as humans, we only think in terms of linear growth. We can't think of exponential growth. They can't fathom that something can go up so quick. So with Bitcoin and some of these other cryptocurrencies, sometimes just buying them and like letting them sit and doing their job, letting the world work, it's similar to gold, except Bitcoin performs much better than gold. The message has always been, how do you add Bitcoin to your portfolio, right? And before 2017, during like the ICO boom, I was 95% in Bitcoin, actually 100% in Bitcoin, and I just didn't touch alternate currencies. I didn't touch Litecoin. The lesson that I've learned is that Bitcoin is now kind of the gold standard for which everything in cryptocurrency kind of looks towards. But Bitcoin doesn't have its like faults either. It's become more of a digital store of value, but it's not very, very good for, if you need a lot of transactions on the network. It's great for storage of value, and if you need to move large chunks of money around or value around. But in terms of, can you get that same multiple of a return? I mean, look, Bitcoin did amazing this last year. Since 2016 to today, it's up 60 times. So it's the best performing asset class in the last 10 years. There's no question about it. But it becomes much harder for people to get a big return on Bitcoin. So, the changing landscape now also is Bitcoin's not just part of your portfolio, it's part of my portfolio, but what else can we diversify into in terms of your portfolio? So the top 10 assets, what we've really started telling our clients and even people that are getting new into the space is, if you take 10% of your liquid net worth and you put it into cryptocurrency, take 30%, put it into Bitcoin, 30% into something that can do a relatively like large move such as Fantom, or 40% into Fantom, and then 30% into like, Ethereum, Cardano, Chainlink, Bitcoin Cash, any of the stuff that's in the top 10. So that's really where the landscape has changed now, is looking outside of Bitcoin to outperform Bitcoin. So staying ahead of the curve for myself and my clients really means being on the cutting edge, but not the bleeding edge. We look at projects and investments where there's, first off, the team is great. There's a real product behind, the actual team, and it's just not another flyby project, because now the space has matured a lot. You've got a lot of protocol level type blockchains. So the question that's frequently asked to us is, Harry, what's the next big thing? Well, in 2013 or 2014, if you asked what the next big thing with Bitcoin was, everybody probably would have looked at Litecoin and Ethereum. And it ended up being Ethereum because Ethereum's number 2. And one of the reasons I love Ethereum is, besides making a lot of money from Ethereum, Ethereum pioneered the way for people to raise money in ICOs and tokenize and make something tradable. So even to this day, the ERC20 standard is, what everybody kind of adheres to. And then you've got, I think it's the ERC, there's a ERC non-fungible token standard as well. So intellectual property and assets can be put on the blockchain. So if you were to fast forward now and say, what is the next cutting edge piece of blockchain, just because there's so many out there, I'll just name a few. There's, Solana, which is like, proof of compute. There's Fantom, which one we're very heavily invested in, which is like directed acrylic graph, delegated proof of stake, but it's 100% ERC20 compatible with Ethereum's Solidity smart contracts. So you've got all these other blockchains that are out there, but everybody's trying to do the next thing where it's kind of trying to replace Ethereum, because they say Ethereum's slow and Ethereum 2.0 isn't ready yet. But one of the projects that we believe is cutting edge and is the most undervalued right now is Fantom's blockchain. And look, a big disclaimer, we're a huge investor in Fantom. They're also a platinum sponsor of this event, and happy to talk a little bit more about, Fantom as well, kind of why we believe it's going to take the same trajectory as Ethereum and potentially could become a top 10 this year. And the main reason behind that is there's nothing out there today that does what Ethereum does. But the problem is Ethereum is still too slow. It only does 15 transactions per second, whereas Fantom does 1,500 transactions per second. So why Fantom and why now? Well, Fantom's delegated proof of stake, and there's news coming out that Republic Protocol is building a virtual machine bridge between Ethereum's blockchain and Fantom's blockchain. So you can just imagine, because Fantom is 100% ERC20 and smart contract, like Solidity compatible. Whatever you develop on Ethereum, you can port that over to Fantom with relative ease. Think of Ethereum as the 100 megabit network and Fantom as the 10G network. So Fantom's not here to kill Ethereum. Fantom is here to help Ethereum achieve an even greater amount of transaction processing capability. So that's really where we start looking at projects. You look at the team, Andre Cronje, he created Wi-Fi and Keeper, and he's one of the core guys that developed Go Lachesis on the blockchain for Fantom. So, Michael Kong, Quan, all of these guys, the marketing team, they're all heads down. They're building some of the best product that we've seen. And I don't think anybody's really looked at the entire DeFi product suite of Fantom. So Fantom has its own blockchain called Opera. So Fantom on the Opera, a little bit kind of a catchy name. So we believe, aside from everything that they're doing in DeFi, and look, DeFi is the hot buzzword this year. It is the hot topic. So imagine all the smart contracts such as Wi-Fi, Sushi Swap, all of these things running on Fantom's blockchain seamlessly with Ethereum's blockchain. And people are starting to see this now, which is, we started accumulating our big position in the last 2 years. And I think today, Fantom's trading around 8.4 cents. On the weekend, on Saturday, it was trading at 2 cents. So it's up 3 times. And, this thing, it just broke the top 100, and it is the most undervalued project in the space. There's a 3 billion token cap. And I think the market cap right now is only about 150 or 200 million. So lots of room for growth. And for us, cutting edge and value investing, at least in this space, we look for something that's really undervalued. And how can we help unlock that value? And that's disclaimer why we're suggesting that everybody take a look at Fantom. If you're really looking at diversifying your portfolio and adding an altcoin to your portfolio, some of the first things you definitely want to look at is who are the people behind the project, because at the end of the day, it's always about the people. Somebody created Bitcoin, whether, Bitcoin Satoshi Nakamoto wasn't one person or a team. Ethereum, there's a team of people. So you have to look at the team of people that are really behind the project, and how vested and how committed are they? So if you look at Fantom, you've got a great group of engineers, advisors, people like us as well that are working not just on the investment side. The community is very vibrant. You have a lot of people that are very pro Fantom, including myself, but also the technical side. My background is software engineering, and I'm working on enterprise blockchain integrations right now that are using Fantom. So there's real application and utility. So I find any investment, it's important. So when I got into Bitcoin, I bought some Bitcoin, I understood what it was, and I used it. So with Fantom, it's the same thing. You really have to use the DeFi suite to really understand it. Just like the only way you can understand Ethereum is if you send smart contract tokens. So look, USDT, for instance, Tether, USDC, all these stable coins. Stable coins have become a huge part of our lives now, but we have to use Ethereum's blockchain. Imagine if we can send stable coins between each other, but it's kind of, we don't really care if we're using Fantom's network or Ethereum's network, but we know we're getting the best execution price. And that's really, really where we see Fantom augmenting the part of the smart contract piece right now. This is kind of where really kind of sitting down and understanding the product. Look, Fantom is definitely one of my largest positions. So we've done our homework and we love the product and the team. And this is, I think you just have to really, really be a believer. And sometimes the only way to really be a believer and to see the things and look under the rocks is to be involved. So we're very, very close to the Fantom team. We talk to them regularly. We use the product on a daily basis, and we figure out ways to use the product and how to adopt it and how to use it in actual businesses. And I'm happy to say I can't officially announce which blockchain that we've picked. Obviously, it's Fantom, but there's a couple of companies and startups that I'm directly involved with that are using Fantom's blockchain for enterprise. Well, the first thing I would recommend is definitely do your own research. The first thing I tell people is always buy some Bitcoin, buy some Ethereum, so you understand what the big pairs are. And be prepared for the volatility. Don't be afraid to stomach drops, because the volatility, only with great volatility can there be great upside. So look, when we invested in Fantom, I think I got in at around 2 cents and it dropped all the way to 0.0019 cent in March of 2020 when everything just kind of completely cratered. So you have to be able to allow yourself to feel the pain of these investments going to almost zero. And look, in some cases, even during the DeFi boom, we bought some, food tokens that went from $200,000 to zero in 6 hours. But of course, these are very, very highly speculative things. And the whole point of investing in crypto as well is invest only what you can afford to lose, but also be prudent and really find the good ones, because you don't have to find a lot of good ones. You just have to find one or two really good ones and they'll outperform everything else. So for us, Bitcoin outperformed, Ethereum outperformed, and Fantom's currently outperforming. So even though I've had some bad bets before, the key thing is just to stay consistent and don't give up and don't quit and practice every day. Like I do this every day. I haven't stopped since I got into Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in 2013. Don't give up, because good things take time. And if you look at even the success of Bitcoin, it didn't happen overnight. It's been 11 years or like 10 years. I've been involved in this space for 8 years now. And a lot of stuff has happened in those 8 years. The world changed a lot. But it's amazing to see that, even transactions from 2013, because the blockchain is immutable, it keeps the history forever. So it's great to see more people adding this to their portfolio. More people are talking about it. Everybody knows what Bitcoin is now, but they still don't own Bitcoin, which is the crazy part. There's only 21 million Bitcoin in the world. So that would be my advice to somebody that's really, really committed. Just stick with it. And look, the next 12 months, the market will go up, the market will go down. But at the end of the day, just understand we are at the beginning of like a 12-month bull market run cycle right now. Next year at this conference, we'll probably have to reassess kind of where things are, but definitely it's an exciting time to be in the space. But, invest wisely, and again, invest only what you can afford to lose. And remember that history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes.